deductive science, and then gradually men lost the vision. The next great discovery, under heading 3 there, was something called the division of labor. Now, up until that time, everything had been done on a very simple cottage industry basis. One man was a thatcher. He thatched roofs on cottages. One man was a man who put shoes on horses. One man was a clothier and made coats out of... Everything was done on an individual, simple cottage industry basis. One man was the baker who made homemade loaves. One man might make nails for building, and they had very primitive nails, and he used to sit down in his village with a little forge in front of him, and he'd draw bars of iron into the right length with a hammer and a forge, and then he'd put a point on one end and a flathead on the other end and pack them into little baskets. And working under that system day after day, he might produce 50 nails a day. And then he discovered that if you sat 4 people down in a line and each person took part of the process, one heated the iron, the next one put the points on, the next man put the flatheads on, the next man packed them into their little rush baskets, that without any extra effort, production now increased to 150 nails per person instead of 50. There was a new extra bonus that came without effort simply by discovering correct principles. And that was the forerunner of huge industrial lines that really have taken it too far today. Well, you might see a car going right through a factory, and each person just does one thing. You just spend your life putting a bolt on, or a steering wheel on, or painting it, or whatever. And because that endless belt is so long and there are so many things coming off it, they all begin to look exactly the same. I think the first one that really hit the world was Henry Ford and his Model T car that came, I think a million came off an endless belt back in 1916. So many of them, and that Henry Ford coined that famous phrase that if you wanted a Model T Ford, you could have any color you wanted so long as it was black. But really, if you think about it, that discovery should have knocked that 16 weeks of the year down to 13 weeks of the year, or perhaps 12. And then all of a sudden man discovered the most incredible thing of all, this strange thing called the machine. And here was a means, this strange thing, whether it was a steam engine or electricity or a 1-horsepower motor, whatever, of translating solar energy straight into production without human muscles being involved at all. This 1-horsepower motor would do the work of 10 men with wages, sweat, blood, tears, toil, tiredness, for a few pence a week in the form of energy. And you just imagine standing in the Industrial Revolution as the first machines that mankind had ever known came into existence, and looking forward into the future and trying to dream what society is going to come out of this. Is the day actually coming in the future when we're going to have, instead of men walking around a paddock behind a horse and a plow, we're actually going to have a machine that plants the wheat and harvests it? People would have said, that's mad. Don't be ridiculous. I saw the figures for the United States the other day. They got all their wheat harvesters into one paddock. They could harvest the whole state of Iowa, which is 56,000 square miles, in a fraction under 24 hours. Staggering. Is the day coming when man no longer has to crawl down a hole in the ground with a pick and a shovel on his back and a bag with a lamplight to hack out a few minerals, put it in his bag and crawl his way up to the surface? We're actually going to have machines mining our minerals for us. Go and have a look at that Rundle thing they're developing in Queensland. We're going to bring into Australia, this is an awful thought, 3 machines that are so big that each machine wouldn't even sit on a football pitch. It has legs on it which are like massive, great 10-foot elephant trunks. And to pick one leg up, move it forward, put it down again, takes 44 gallons of fuel. Complete drum. And the bucket on the end of the arm, which just digs into the soil, you could put the whole Sydney Symphony Orchestra sitting in that bucket playing away at their instruments. And we're going to have 3 of those gulping away 24 hours a day. Is the day coming when we're actually going to see horses traveling along the roads without carriages pulling them? What's the biggest problem? Where to park the wretched things today. Isn't it? And then the most incredible question of all is the day coming when man no longer really has to work. We need fewer and fewer people to produce the things that are needed. That we're moving into an age when that dreadful punishment of the Garden of Eden, by the sweat of your brow, a punishment from God, is going to be lifted off the backs of men. And then the most incredible question of all is the day coming